Scene script. Have you ever wondered how a man regarded as one of the most qualified individuals ever to assume the US presidency ended up being considered one of the least successful? Enter James Buchanan, born in a log cabin in rural Pennsylvania in the late 18th century. The second of 11 children, he grew up without the golden spoons of privilege, but through sheer determination and hard work, he rose to heights unimaginable for a boy of his humble beginnings. A graduate of Dickinson College, he was a man of strong intellect and a formidable work ethic. After college, he ventured into law, quickly establishing himself as a reputable lawyer in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. His oratory skills, wit, and passion for justice were well recognized, and it was not long before he was thrust into the world of politics. In his early political career, Buchanan served in the House of Representatives, bringing to the table his sharp analytical skills and unyielding commitment to public service. His tenure in the House was marked by a dedication to economic stability and a commitment to the rights of individual states. Buchanan's political journey didn't stop there. His abilities caught the attention of President Andrew Jackson, who appointed him as the minister to Russia. In the cold expanse of Russia, Buchanan navigated the complex world of international diplomacy, further honing his political acumen. But, as is often the case in life, having the qualifications and the resume doesn't always translate into success. Buchanan, despite his impressive background, is often considered one of the least successful US presidents. This, however, doesn't detract from the enigma that is James Buchanan. His life is a testament to the fact that it's not always the most educated, the most experienced, or the most qualified who leave the biggest mark. His story serves as a reminder that success isn't always about the accolades on the wall or the titles before your name. But as we'll soon discover, it's not always the most qualified who leave the biggest mark. Buchanan's career trajectory was certainly impressive, but how did it lead him to the highest office in the land? James Buchanan, a man of many hats, had an illustrious career before ever setting foot in the Oval Office. Serving as Secretary of State under President Polk, Buchanan's diplomatic finesse was evident. His role was pivotal in navigating the delicate intricacies of international politics, particularly during the Oregon boundary dispute with Britain. But it was his tenure as Minister to the United Kingdom that truly put his diplomatic skills to the test. Here, Buchanan became embroiled in the Ostend Manifesto, a controversial document suggesting the United States should seize Cuba from Spain if necessary, by force. This manifesto, while initially causing a stir, eventually faded into the background, but it served to highlight Buchanan's willingness to make bold moves on the international stage. The election of 1856 was a turning point in Buchanan's political journey. The Democratic Party, seeing in Buchanan a seasoned statesman with years of experience, nominated him as their presidential candidate. Buchanan was up against John C. Fremont from the newly formed Republican Party and Millard Fillmore from the American Party. It was a contentious race with the nation divided over the issue of slavery. Despite the heated political climate, Buchanan won the presidency. His victory was not a landslide, but it was decisive. He carried 15 out of the then 31 states, securing nearly 45% of the popular vote. Buchanan, a man who had dedicated his life to public service, had finally achieved the highest office in the land, but the road to the presidency was not an easy one. It was paved with tough decisions, diplomatic crises, and a nation on the brink of division. Through it all, Buchanan showed resilience, determination, and an unwavering commitment to his country. Buchanan had secured the presidency, but little did he know the challenges that awaited him. What happens when a nation stands on the brink of civil war and its leader struggles to maintain balance? James Buchanan, the 15th President of the United States, faced this question head-on. His presidency was a tumultuous period marked by challenges that threatened the very fabric of the nation. One of the most significant issues of Buchanan's presidency was the Dred Scott decision. The Supreme Court ruled that Scott, a slave who had lived in free territories, was not entitled to his freedom. This decision was a severe blow to the abolitionist movement and heightened tensions between the North and the South. Buchanan hoped the ruling would settle the issue of slavery in the territories. Instead, it only deepened the divide. Kansas's Lecompton Constitution was another challenge. The pro-slavery document, which was widely rejected by the people of Kansas, came to Buchanan for approval. He found himself torn between his personal sympathies for the South and the democratic principle that the people of a territory should determine their own fate. His decision to support the Lecompton Constitution was met with widespread criticism, further straining his presidency. As if these issues weren't enough, Buchanan also grappled with the growing divide between the North and the South. The conflict over slavery was escalating, and compromise seemed increasingly out of reach. Buchanan, a Northerner with Southern sympathies, found himself caught in the middle, struggling to keep the peace while also upholding his principles. Buchanan's presidency was a time of great strife and uncertainty. He faced criticism from all sides, and his decisions often exacerbated the issues he hoped to solve. Yet, through it all, he remained committed to his role as president, striving to maintain balance in a country on the brink of civil war. The country was fracturing, and Buchanan, despite his best efforts, seemed unable to stop it. How will history remember a man who witnessed his nation crumble around him? James Buchanan, the 15th President of the United States, found himself in such a predicament. As the nation was on the brink of the Civil War, Buchanan was caught in the eye of the storm. He was a man of great experience, having served in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, not to mention his stint as Secretary of State. However, all his experience seemed to fall short when it came to preventing the impending catastrophe. During the secession crisis, Buchanan remained largely passive. He was caught between his constitutional obligations and the rapidly unfolding crisis. He believed that while secession was illegal, the federal government didn't have the right to use force against the seceding states. This indecisiveness proved to be disastrous. It not only failed to prevent the Civil War but also deepened the divide between the North and the South. Buchanan's presidency is often viewed negatively, largely due to his inability to avert the Civil War. His name is frequently mentioned in discussions about the worst presidents in American history. But it's important to remember that he was a product of his time, grappling with issues that were incredibly complex and deeply rooted in the nation's history. However, Buchanan's legacy extends beyond his presidency. He was an accomplished diplomat and a seasoned politician. His contributions to American politics cannot be overlooked, despite the shadow of the Civil War that looms over his presidency. Buchanan's presidency serves as a stark reminder that leadership isn't just about qualifications, but about decisive action in the face of adversity. It's about making tough decisions, even when they are unpopular. It's about standing firm in the face of challenges and not shying away from responsibility. Leadership, as Buchanan's presidency shows us, is about more than just holding office. It's about the legacy you leave behind. And in that sense, Buchanan's legacy is a lesson for us all. For it tells us that in the end, it's not about how many battles you've fought, but how many you've won. Buchanan's presidency serves as a stark reminder that leadership isn't just about qualifications, but about decisive action in the face of adversity. What can we learn from the life and presidency of James Buchanan? The tale of James Buchanan isn't just a chapter in American history, it's a treasure trove of lessons waiting to be unearthed. One of the most significant lessons we can draw from Buchanan's life and presidency is the importance of decisive leadership. Buchanan, despite his extensive experience and profound knowledge, often found himself in the throes of indecision during his tenure. This indecisiveness, especially during a time of national crisis, had devastating consequences. From Buchanan, we learn that being decisive doesn't necessarily mean making the right decisions all the time. It means having the courage to make decisions, to stand by them, and to bear the consequences. It's about understanding that the cost of inaction often outweighs the cost of making a wrong decision. Another lesson we can glean from Buchanan's presidency is the danger of indecisiveness. During his presidency, the nation was on the brink of civil war. Yet Buchanan, in his indecisiveness, failed to take bold, decisive action that could have perhaps altered the course of history. His inability to make decisions during this critical time underscored the perils of indecisiveness in leadership. Finally, the life and presidency of James Buchanan underscored the need for leaders to take bold action when faced with crises. Leaders like Buchanan are often confronted with complex, challenging situations. However, it's in these moments that true leadership is tested. It's in these moments that leaders need to rise to the occasion and take bold, decisive action, even if it means making unpopular decisions. In conclusion, Buchanan's presidency serves as a stark reminder of the importance of decisive leadership, the dangers of indecisiveness, and the need for bold action in times of crisis. While Buchanan's presidency may be viewed by some as a failure, it offers invaluable lessons for future leaders and individuals alike. The legacy of James Buchanan serves as a sobering lesson for all of us. In leadership, action speaks louder than qualifications.